One of the things I pride myself on here, and as a direct conduit to you guys, you should take my opinion seriously. Not that none of you are not. I'm just pointing out the obvious. Is that I could say things that are not, shall we say, coached, prepped, told to say things in a certain way based on me getting clicks, which I don't get a penny, by the way, getting paid on clicks. I am completely funded by you guys. Yes or no, better or worse. But one of the things I pride myself is I say what is my opinion. And that's all it is. It's an opinion. And it's not based on bullshit. It's not based on pretenses or any whim to try to kiss ass, whether it's anybody. I base it strictly, I really do, on talent, or in this case, a lack of talent. I have railed against an overnight news anchor by the name of Mary Hughes on KCBS. Well, I've railed against KCBS for the most part because they have turned a once credible, a once legacy news station into a shit show, as one of their people have defined it accurately, quite accurately, in my opinion, the daily, nightly shit show. There are people on KCBS now clearly shouldn't be on a microphone, no matter the fact that radio is dying, terrestrial radio especially, and what you have today, what has transpired at KCBS is really sad. And it makes me sad, but it also makes me angry that people who, for no other reason other than the fact that they check certain boxes, that they may be a certain gender or proclivity to something else. No, nothing based on talent. And that's what I'm getting about with Mary Hughes. Now, I probably have alienated a lot of people, particularly women, because I've railed on a lot of the talent, not just at KCBS, but above and beyond the Bay Area media landscape. It just so happens to be that a majority of my ire, the individuals that I have lampooned and berated, happen to be women. I'm not out looking to say, you know what, I'm going to go after that person because she's a woman. Or I'm going to go after this guy because he's black. Or I'm going to go after that person because they're gay or what have you. Or they're Asian or they're from Venus or they're from fucking Saturn. I base my attacks, and they're all peaceful, on whether or not I perceive them to be good or lousy or average or quite lousy in this case. That's what I base my feelings on. None of these people do anything for me other than anchor on television, anchor on the radio station. In this case, Mary Hughes, KCBS. I have no idea where this woman came from. She used to do certain things, I guess, projects, and they put her on. And she's god awful. Her style is bizarre. She tends to every now and then whisper, literally. Maybe she feels, Mary Hughes, that by whispering and talking like this, that it's kind of sets the mood, being that she's on the air in the middle of the night. No. First off, there's plenty of people who are working, who are up listening to whatever radio, truck drivers, cops, law enforcement, ambulance drivers, various people, chefs, comedians, who have to listen, or not have to, but want to listen to the radio, the good old-fashioned terrestrial radio, and they turn on a radio station for whatever. They want to hear the news, they want to maybe hear some music, what have you. But Mary Hughes is terrible. Why is she terrible? And it's just my opinion. There are people that used to work at KCBS that I know for a fact no longer listen to KCBS. And that's all parts of the day, but particularly at night, the overnight. You know what they stream? They stream KNX or other stations that may have their interest. Because when news happens, and it does happen sometimes 24/7, the world in which we live in, it happens at an inconvenient time, you want professionals on the air. You don't give a damn if they're women or guys or whatever, young, old. You want the news. You want to listen to somebody on the radio because they have a personality. Maybe they're an old fashioned disc jockey and they're playing music, even though that's somewhat lost today. But back to Hughes. She is annoying. She talks in like this kind of a tone. Literally, you can't hear her. And her style is terrible. Her substance, I guess, it all goes hand in hand, is god awful. And I've often stated, folks, that God forbid we have some breaking news incident, a fire, oh my God, an earthquake, and you have Mary Hughes on the air. Then we would really be in big trouble, aside from the other troubles that we would be in with regards to, God forbid, an earthquake, some calamity, God forbid, a terrorist incident, because Mary Hughes is the last person I want to listen to on KCBS. You know, just FYI, a few years back, I was critical of another woman who came from a jazz radio station by the name of Alicia Clancy. And I think Alicia Clancy has gotten better. Not great, but she's much better. She awkwardly, and for whatever reason, it's part of her style, she tends to giggle, literally giggle, and say extemporaneous things. And I don't get it. Maybe it's a style. Maybe she has some kind of a nervous tick, whatever. But I've gotten used to it, and she's tempered it. She's tempered it. She does give good news. She is credible because she is a knowledgeable and understands talking on a microphone. Mary Hughes, on the other hand, is terrible. Should not be behind a microphone, in my opinion. And others who I've contacted and have talked to, mostly past employees of KCBS. Why they have her on? No idea. I'm sure there's competent people out there who could do the overnight anchoring. It's a hard gig, time slot. You have to kind of change and alter your lifestyle, but you do it. You're being paid decent money, not the kind of money they paid, but whatever the reason, you're on the air. You're on a major market, and although San Francisco has fallen, used to be the number 4 market, now it's like 5 or 6. You're still on a top 10 market. And to Mary Hughes' only defense, she didn't point a gun at somebody and said, "Put me on the air." They had a choice. The usual suspects. Jenny Seelig, the alleged news director, vice president. Don Bastida, who's in charge of those kind of hires, some programming exec at CBS, KCBS Odyssey. And they have this person on the air. It's not just the fact that her style is bizarre and she talks very low. This is not a PBS station. This is not an FM outlet, playing Russian classical music. Talk like a news anchor. And I don't mean that in a sarcastic way. Give the news. Speak up, for God's sakes. Now, because she's a DYI hire, or is it DYE? I don't know. She checks all the boxes, folks. Hughes, unless she does something crazy, is probably there for the time being because they don't have anybody they can hire. Nobody will take that position because it doesn't pay anything. And thus you have Mary Hughes and people like her. And it's not just her, but she's the worst of the worst on KCBS. So to finalize, Mary Hughes And if you need to hear why Mary Hughes, in my opinion, is lousy, then turn on KCBS. Doesn't have to be in the middle of the night. I think she's on from like midnight to 5, or maybe 10 to midnight, and then there's a break. And then she's on from 2 to 5. But she stinks. She's awful. She's unlistenable. Other than that, she's great. Who asked me? I don't know, somebody.